Kembali bersama kami pemirsa, tiba di Kiev, Ukraina, Presiden Jokowi Dodo bertemu dengan Presiden Volodymyr Zelensky. Dalam pertemuan tersebut, Presiden Jokowi Dodo menawarkan diri untuk membawa pesan dari Presiden Zelensky kepada Presiden Putin.
Disambut hangat Presiden Ukraina Volodymyr Zelensky, Presiden Jokowi Dodo tiba di Istana Mariinsky, Kiev, Ukraina. Kunjungan Jokowi ke Ukraina di tengah situasi sulit konflik Rusia-Ukraina. Presiden Jokowi menegaskan posisi Indonesia mengenai pentingnya penghormatan terhadap kedaulatan dan integritas wilayah. Jokowi juga menyampaikan pentingnya penyelesaian damai. Dalam kaitan ini, Presiden menawarkan diri untuk membawa pesan dari Presiden Zelensky untuk Presiden Putin yang akan dikunjungi.
Walaupun masih sangat sulit dicapai, saya tetap sampaikan pentingnya penyelesaian damai dan spirit perdamaian tidak boleh pernah luntur. Dalam kaitan ini saya menawarkan diri untuk membawa pesan dari Presiden Zelensky untuk Presiden Putin yang akan saya temui segera.
Menjadi Presiden Asia pertama yang mengunjungi Ukraina di tengah situasi konflik, Presiden Zelensky menyampaikan apresiasi dan terima kasih, termasuk undangan untuk Zelensky menghadiri KTT G20.
Menyampaikan terima kasih atas dukungan Presiden atas kemerdekaan serta kedaulatan serta integritas teritorial Ukraina, dan terima kasih atas dukungan Anda sebagai Presiden G20, dan saya berterima kasih kepada Yang Mulia atas undangan Anda untuk saya hadir ke KTT G20, dan saya menerima undangan tersebut, tapi kehadiran Ukraina akan bergantung terhadap situasi keamanan di negara kita dan juga komposisi partisipan yang ada di KTT tersebut. Dan saya ingin melaporkan bahwa kesepakatan kita, adanya kesepakatan bebas visa di antara kedua negara, saya kira ini sangat penting bagi kedua bangsa kita untuk kemajuan ekonomi, pembangunan, dan juga pendidikan dan hubungan antar masyarakat kedua negara, dan saya harap kita dapat membantu rekonstruksi Ukraina, dan saya mengundang Indonesia dan juga perusahaan Indonesia dan juga profesional Indonesia untuk ikut ke dalam proyek-proyek yang ada di Ukraina saat ini. Terima kasih atas negosiasi yang berjalan, terima kasih atas kepercayaan Anda, terima kasih.
Dalam kunjungannya ke Ukraina, Presiden Jokowi dan Ibu Iriana juga menyampaikan kepedulian terhadap dampak perang bagi kemanusiaan dengan memberikan bantuan berupa obat-obatan dan komitmen rekonstruksi rumah sakit di sekitar Kiev. Presiden juga menyampaikan pentingnya posisi Ukraina bagi rantai pasok pangan dunia dan meminta semua usaha harus dilakukan agar Ukraina bisa kembali berperan melakukan ekspor bahan pangan dunia.
Ya, Presiden Joko Widodo menyelesaikan setengah misi damainya saat akhirnya bertemu dengan Presiden Ukraina Volodymyr Zelensky. Jokowi menyampaikan ajakan pesan damainya sekaligus mengundang Zelensky untuk hadir di KTT G20 Bali November mendatang. Dan untuk itu kita akan membahasnya dengan Duta Besar Ukraina untuk Indonesia, His Excellency Mr. Vasyl Hemyanin, lewat sambungan Zoom langsung dari Kiev. Mr. Vasyl, thank you very much for joining with us today in our show. Apa kabar?
Kabar baik, harga naik. Terima kasih banyak untuk
berbincang.
Untuk kunjungan. Yeah.
Baik, terima kasih.
I'm really glad to join.
All right. Well, firstly, thank you very much for joining with us today in our show. Well, talking about this, President Jokowi has finally arrived in Kiev and also, met the President Zelensky and delivered the message of peace itself. And talking about the message, what does this message mean to the government and people of Ukraine?
It's a very good question. First of all, I would say that this, no doubt, is a historical visit.
All right.
Because Bapak Presiden Jokowi dan Ibu Negara boleh berkunjung Ukraina. It is a historic event for my country and for the world, I would say, because this is the first visit of Asian leader to Ukraine since the beginning of the war, of Russian aggression. I would not call this a conflict again, and please just refrain from calling it conflict.
All right.
Since the Russian aggression is the first visit of Asian leader, and it's indeed the first in the history of our bilateral relations visit of Indonesian president to Ukraine.
Okay.
So this is a big event for us, and the message is very clear. We are all working on one direction. We are all working for one goal, for one aim, to stop the war, to stop Russian aggression, and to renew the peace on our land, and actually to bring the peace back to the world. It's not about just Ukraine, it's about the world. To bring peace, stability, and the development which we all were working for last 4 months.
All right. As you mentioned before, our Indonesia's First Lady also visited a hospital and met with some war victims, refugees, and delivered the medical aids itself. How do you see it personally?
Well, how can I see it personally? It's a great and generous gesture of humanity. Because, to be honest, I was not sure till the last moment that Ibu Negara, Ibu Riana Widodo will visit Ukraine. But finally, I'm grateful for the family of Bapak President to make this very important decision. Because to handle the humanitarian aid to Ukrainian people who suffered as a result of this war, as a result of shelling and bombings of Ukrainian cities and blockade of towns and villages of Ukraine. This was a very generous and very symbolic, because I mean, it doesn't matter what it was or how much it was. I don't know actually, but it's very symbolic gesture. And this is a hand of a friend, a hand carrying the aid, the support, the solidarity towards Ukrainian people suffered. So it was great that after visiting the town of Irpin near Kiev, where the president and Ibu Negara could see actually what Russian aggressors did to Ukrainian civilians, to Ukrainian cities. How cruel were the attacks by missiles on Ukrainian towns. After that, the visit to a hospital where they could see real victims of this aggression, of this. This was a very touching moment and very important indeed. I mean, this is a powerful signal to the humankind that humanity should prevail.
You know, I mean, the visit of President itself and also the First Lady, it somehow gives us kind of something that, you know, our country, Indonesia, really put extra attention to this conflict itself. And and it's no joke that the President bring the First Lady to Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
And also, you know that Jokowi also invited President Zelensky to attend G20 meeting in Bali this November. We heard about the response itself, about the invitation. Any thoughts about this, Mr. Ambassador?
Actually, the first invitation from Pak Jokowi to President Zelensky to attend the G20 summit in November this year on Bali was announced in late April after the phone call between our presidents. But this time it was the first official announcement in front of Ukrainian people, in front of the president himself, and in front of Indonesian nation as well. So this was like a firm confirmation and firm devotedness to build up very strong relations and to actually make G20 a real success, I would say. My opinion, I don't have any opinion on this, because my president made it very clear that he's happy to receive the invitation and he's grateful for being invited. However, his personal attendance will depend upon the security situation in Ukraine. This is the main thing, because my president would rather stay with my people in trouble, if it's required. But I hope that by the time this Bali summit takes place, in November, Russian aggressors will be defeated, and there will be a room for my president to travel to Bali.
All right. How would the embassy itself of Ukraine prepare for President Zelensky visit? Suppose if it is, if it happens in the near time this November in Bali.
Well, how are we preparing? To be honest, I would repeat this again. For Ukraine now, it's very important to defeat the aggressor.
All right.
It's very important to stand strong and not to express any weakness in front of this really wide-scale aggression and cruel aggression upon Ukraine. So Ukrainian people, Ukrainian nation is counting days and weeks, and we still have like 4 months before the summit. So I think it's too early to say anything concrete about the preparations, about the like what we're going to do exactly before the visit. I think this will we'll start preparations like maybe in September, late September, I hope.
Right.
But in any case, that will be a very important event too, and this will be the I would call it bridge building between the world community, between the countries that really value human rights, value democracy, and value peace and development, unlike Russian Federation.
Okay. So, now I want to know how's the perspective from Ukrainian itself when it comes to this visit. How do people in Ukraine react to President Jokowi's visit to Kyiv lately?
Well, Ukrainian people would react, I didn't make the public inquiry on that. I think we are doing this just right now, just to make sure what common people think about the visit.
Yeah.
But what I've heard from friends and from people around me, they all, first, they think this is a historic visit. Not the least because in the framework of this visit, the very important agreement was signed between our governments, between actually our ministers of foreign affairs. It was visa-free regime agreement. So now the people from our countries can travel visa-free. It will take some time to proceed, but still, it's a very important step. And the Ukrainians, from one hand, they are happy and they are express a lot of greetings to this visit. And the second one, they what is more important, I think, they express a lot of hopes that this visit will bring a really concrete and tangible results.
All right.
In terms of peacemaking and reestablishing a stable and secure situation in Ukraine. So I think to be cautious, right, we have to wait a couple of days, at least, maybe more, when President President Jokowi returns to Jakarta, and then I think, I expect the government of Indonesia to make some important announcements to summarize the visits to Ukraine and to Moscow, and to summarize the achievements they've reached during these two visits. And don't forget, before this, Pak Jokowi participated in G7 meeting, G7 summit, which was nonetheless important. And I think that in the framework of all these three visits, the very important statements are expected to be made by the Indonesian government, and very concrete, very tangible results are expected to be exposed to the public. That's what I think.
All right. Do you think it's necessary for us to include more countries, our other countries, Western countries, or even China, in any peace-building talks? Because somehow we cannot close our eyes. This kind of problem, involved more. It's not only about Russia and Ukraine, but what do you think about this?
Well, I think that the wider will be the involvement of the world nations, the faster the peace will be restored in Ukraine and effectively in Europe and worldwide. So the more countries will express solidarity towards Ukraine, will express solidarity not actually towards Ukraine, but solidarity with humankind, democracy, human values, human rights. The more countries will express clearly about that, will make a strong position, the faster the peace will be restored, the faster Ukrainian grains will reach international markets, the faster Ukraine will start the process of rebuilding economy and rebuilding the infrastructure. So the more countries involved, the better.
Yeah, because this war has to be stopped, and the food supply should be reactivated, right? So we know that Jokowi's visit is also to discuss about the global food and energy crisis. What are your thoughts about this?
Oh, the food prices will directly depend upon the position of President Putin, because it's only up to him, up to this dictator, to stop the war in Ukraine. And immediately, the millions of tons of grains now stored in Ukrainian silos and warehouses will be released to the world markets. This will prevent many countries, many societies from starvation, I would say. So this decision is upon one single person, President Putin. And I think that the duty and the duty of every world leader now is to make sure that President Putin understands the consequences of his aggression, the consequences of his blockade of Ukrainian food to the world community. So it's very important that every world leader makes it crystal clear to Vladimir Putin what he did, what he does, and what would be the consequences, the grave consequences for the world. So that's what my position about the food.
I know. I mean, through these difficult times, I know I can say it's quite difficult, but I do believe that we could make it together someday soon. I mean, war has to be stopped, and told you that food supply should be reactivated. One last question, probably, Mr. Faisal. Do you want to say something to our Indonesian viewers about this, please?
What I would say to our Indonesian viewers, I think that we really need the support from the Indonesian public. We really need the support of Indonesian nation. We really need the support from various religious communities of Indonesia and from Indonesian media too. And we, by saying we, I don't mean only Ukraine and Ukrainian people who really need solidarity from the world community. We, I mean the humankind, like human people, human beings who respect humanity, who respect human rights and democracy. That I would expect the support, solidarity, and prayers, of course. Because only with the support of public, with the support of nations worldwide, like the meaning we actually put into the United Nations, right? Only with this support of world community, we can restore peace and stability in the world.
All right. We do express, all Indonesians express our hope that the war can be soon ended, and also the peaceful solution could be formed through a negotiation. Mr. Faisal Hamianian, thank you so much for your time, the Ambassador of Ukraine for Indonesia. Thank you for your insights. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much. Matur nuwun.
Waalaikumsalam. Terima kasih.
Merdeka.
Merdeka. Terima kasih. Thank you. Kami akan jeda terlebih dahulu, tetap bersama kami.